Swapnamati, when you're ready, you can start, Mati.
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranjaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Today we'll continue reading from 7th Canto, Chapter 5, entitled Prahlad Maharaj, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu. Text 49. O Lord, we know that when you simply move your eyebrows, all the commanders of the various planets are most afraid. Without the help of any assistant, you have conquered all the three worlds. Therefore, we do not find any reason for you to be morose and full of anxiety. As for Prahlad, he is nothing but a child and cannot be a cause of anxiety. After all, his good qualities have no value. Text 50. Until the return of our spiritual master, Shukracharya arrest this child with the ropes of Varuna so that he will not flee in fear. In any case, by the time he is somewhat grown up and has assimilated our instructions or served our spiritual master, he will change in his intelligence. Thus, uh, there need be no cause for anxiety. Text 51. After hearing these instructions of Sanda and Amarka, the sons of his spiritual master Hiranyakashipu agreed and requested them to instruct Prahlada in that system of occupational duty which is followed by royal householder families. Text 52. Thereafter, Sanda and Amarka systematically and unceasingly taught Prahlad Maharaj, who was very submissive and humble, about mundane religion, economic development, and sense gratification. Text 53. The teachers Sanda and Amarka instructed Prahlad Maharaj in the three kinds of material advancement called religion, economic development, and sense gratification. Prahlada, however, being situated above such instructions, did not like them, for such instructions are based on the duality of worldly affairs, which involve one in a materialistic way of life marked by birth, death, old age, and disease. Text 54. When the teachers went home to attend their household affairs, the students of the same age as Prahlada Maharaj would call him to take the opportunity of leisure hours for play. Text 55. Prahlad Maharaj, who was truly the supreme learned person, then addressed his class friends in very sweet language. Smilingly, he began to teach them about the uselessness of the materialistic way of life. Being very kind to them, he instructed them as follows. Texts 56 and 57. My dear King Yudhishthira, all the children were very much affectionate and respectful to Prahlad Maharaj, and because of their tender age, they were not so polluted by the instructions and actions of their teachers who were attached to condemned duality and bodily comfort. Thus, the boys surrounded Prahlad Maharaj, giving up their playthings, and sat down to hear them. Their hearts and eyes being fixed upon him, they looked at him with great earnestness. Prahlad Maharaj, although born in a demon family, was an exalted devotee and he desired their welfare. Thus, he began instructing them about the futility of materialistic life. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of 7th Canto, 5th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled The Saintly Son of Hiranyakashipu. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you so much, Swapnamati. Hare Krishna. Yeah, Sundaracala Prabhu, whenever you're ready, you can start, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for the opportunity, dear Sundaran Prabhu, for speaking Bhagavad Gita today. And thank you for reading today's translation, Swapna Mataji. We'll start with brief prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnana Janashalakaya Chakshurunmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunivadi Paschatadeshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Prahlada Maharaj, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu. Chapter 5 of 7th Canto. So we're discussing this from verse number 49 to 57 today. And we had wonderful explanations from Prabhus and Matajis over the last 3 days on this particular chapter, 3-4 days. And I'll give a glimpse of what was heard so far. Prahlada's devotion to Vishnu and Hiranyakashipu's response, a demonic response to the devotion exhibited by Prahlad Maharaj was described, where Prahlada's education under Sukracharya's sons, which was mostly material education, politics, how diplomacy, how to control people, such kind of thing. And Prahlada instructs Hiranyakashipu in bhakti. When he was asked, "What did you learn, dear beta?" Then, after hearing that, Hiranyakashipu initially he smiles, and then Chanda Amarka chastise Prahlada and forcefully teach him material education. Who taught you all this? We didn't teach you all this. Who taught you all this? And then, now Shanda and Amarka being so scared of Hiranyakashipu because of the initial mishap of Prahlada Maharaj speaking something else, the Katha, Vishnu Katha, teachings of Vaishnava exalted philosophy, which nobody taught him. Now, Prahlada describes the 9 processes of bhakti in his next opportunity to meet Hiranyakashipu, his father. As you can see, initially he said, Tat sadhu manye suravarya dehinam. He initially said, addressed him as, oh, best of demons. Like that, he addressed his father. And then, without disrespecting, he said, Sada samudvignam dhiyam asadgrahat hitvatmapat patam gruhmandakupam vanam gato yadhirim harim ashriyeta. Go to forest and take shelter of Supreme Lord Hari. Give up these soul degrading activities and don't fall deeper and deeper into this blind well like materialistic household life. Because in your activities, it's full of anxieties. You're always anxious with minds absorbed in I and mine conception. Go to Vrindavana and take shelter of Supreme Lord Hari. That's what Prahlad Maharaj said. And then the next exalted teaching that we heard was when second time when he was given opportunity to speak again to his after he was brainwashed by Shanda and Amarka on material education. When a next opportunity comes, what a subject do you like, dear my son? And Hiranyakashipu pleasingly asks, and then he gives another big lesson. What did he give? 9 processes of bhakti that we heard from Krishna, Sri Krishna Prabhu, where he said, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Bada Sevanam Archanam Mandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanivedanam. These are the 9 kinds of devotional offerings that one, and that is the real education. That is considered one having complete knowledge. Like that, he says the bhakti, the limbs of bhakti, and how to perform them is considered the knowledge. Rest all is not knowledge. So whatever the teachers that I have who have taught me all that other than this is actually indirectly saying that I don't consider it as a knowledge. And then wonderfully we heard Matirna Krishne Paratasvatova Mito Vipajyeta Gruhavratanam Adanta Gober Vishatantamishram Punah Punah Chervita Charvananam. You're just chewing the chewed, same householder activities, material engagements, trying to achieve your own material, engage your own efforts, combination of others' instruction. Sorry, but instead, why don't you? You have to surrender to Krishna. You have to get inclination towards Krishna, either yourself or through the help of others. That's what he said. So one jewel more verse that we heard is Materialists are ignorant, ambitious, misled, entangled. Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnun. So ignorant don't know that Vishnu is the real interest, goal of their life. And like that, we heard, also the power of serving Vishnu. Like the wonderful teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. This is the first phase of Prahlad Maharaj's teachings. The more he opens his mouth, the more exalted principles of bhakti are coming out. So as Hiranyakashipu was so angry with what is going on here, he actually tries to, he orders with all these teachings he is giving, he gets angry. Hiranyakashipu orders his servants to kill Prahlada. Hiranyakashipu fails to kill Prahlada through elephants, snakes, poison, and so on. Prahlada's meditation on Vishnu was undisturbed even in the crisis situation, so-called materialistic impediments or distresses in life. He was undisturbed because of the absorption in Vishnu. And then Chanda Amarka told Hiranyakashipu that Prahlada might change later in the next set of verses. And Hiranyakashipu also got a hint. Oh, I'm going to be killed by Vishnu probably. Sorry, I'm going to be probably digging my own, graveyard because, I'm messing up with Vishnu's devotee. That is the indication he was got from the from the super soul in his heart. And now, what happens? Shanda Amarka tries to pacify when he's in anxiety. Hiranyakashipu, he tries to pacify. He's in a frustrated situation. And 49th verse, oh Lord, Shanda and Amarka are addressing here Hiranyakashipu. Oh Lord, we know that when you simply move your eyebrows, all the commanders of various planets are most afraid. And without the help of any assistance, you could conquer our three worlds. Do not be in full anxiety, because nobody can harm you. As of Prahlada, he is nothing but a child and cannot be cause of anxiety. So don't be anxious with the childish acts, with the acts of children like your son. He will change over. His either good qualities or bad qualities of children. Because he is a child, it has no value. Don't get anxious. Like that, they try to pacify Hiranyakashipu, his master. And this is clearly unworthy glorification attributed by Shanda and Amarka to his master Hiranyakashipu. Even Hiranyakashipu, like leaders, are under control of Lord's time factor. As you can witness just a couple of verses ago, Hiranyakashipu is going through anxiety. That indicates that and great leaders like Hiranyakashipu are also under the control of Lord's time factor. As Bhishmadev says in his teachings, Sarvam Kala Krutam Manye. Bhavatancha Yade Priyam Sapale Yadvashe Loko Vayo Rivaghanavali. Just like how the force of the wind impels the clouds to move from one place to another place. And they undergo that movement helplessly. Similarly, the Sapalo Yadvashe Loko and these great leaders of the three worlds, they, along with their followers, they're controlled by the time factor. So this is what Bhishmadev teaches. The text number 50. Until the return of our spiritual master, Sukracharya, arrest this child with the ropes of Varuna. Why? Because Varuna himself is under the control of Hiranyakashipu now. So they are suggesting, let's arrest him with Varuna Pasha so that he doesn't flee out of fear. In any case, by the time he's somewhat grown up, he will probably assimilate our instructions, and then he will change his polluted intelligence. And thus there need to be no cause of anxiety. Like that, they actually again preach, so try to pacify Hiranyakashipu. In text number 51, after hearing these instructions of Shanda Amarka, the sons of a spiritual master. Hiranyakashipu agrees and requests them to instruct Prahlada in the system of occupational duty, which is followed by the royal householder families of demonic dynasties. So here, real occupational duty, dharma, hi asyo apadeshtavyo rajñam yo gurhamedhinam. So Prabhupada explains further. Hiranyakashipu wanted Prahlad Maharaj to be trained as a diplomatic king in ruling the kingdom, the country of the world, but not to be advised about renunciation and brahmacharya training, renounced order of life. He was not interested in putting his child through that kind of education, which is recommended by Vedic, all the Vedas. The word dharma here does not refer to religious faith. As clearly stated, dharmo hi asyo padashtavyo rajñam yo gurhamedinam. Two kinds of royal families are there, Prabhupada says, whose members are simply attached to householder life. Gurhamedinam is the first category. The second category is Rajarshis, kings who govern with ruling power but are as good as great kings. So here Prahlad Maharaja wanted to become a Rajarshi, but Hiranyakashipu wanted him to become attached to sense enjoyment, Gruhamedi. Thus the difference between Prahlad Maharaja and Hiranyakashipu was that Hiranyakashipu wanted to keep Prahlada in mundane attachment, whereas Prahlada wants to be above the modes of material nature. And Varnashrama Aryan system, Aryans are the highly civilized individuals who follow the Varnashrama Dharma. They get spiritual education, right? And there are divisions based on the occupational duty. There are divisions based upon on the spiritual order. Now, as long as one is under the control of material nature, one who is following this Varnashrama Dharma, as long as one is under the control of material nature, his occupational duty is different from that person not under such control. That means one who don't follow the Varnashrama system but is actually following the Paro Dharma is different, Prabhupada says. His dharma is different. A devotee purified by devotional service is always in transcendental position above the mundane qualities, whereas someone who is following strictly the Varnashrama Dharma for the sake of following them but not to progressively enhance and get to the transcendental position above the three modes of material nature to the Shuddha Sattva. One is not aiming for that, but rather following for the sake of it, just for enjoyment, to get the benefit of religiosity. One and the economic development that comes with following the religiosity. If one is only interested in that, what happens is he will be bounded by those three modes of material nature. So that's why one's real dharma or occupational duty is described in Srimad Bhagavatam. And Bhagavad Gita says, what is that real dharma? Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja. One must give up all the material occupational duties just as one might give up his material body. We are giving up material body at one point. Why not give up these mundane material occupational duties which are exclusively centered around sense gratification, self-centered? Why not dovetail those occupational duties for Supreme Lord? Savai pumsam paro dharmo. That is the supreme occupational duty. Yedo bhaktir adhokshaje, to Lord, that Lord Krishna, devotional service unto that Lord Krishna is the paro dharma. As described to this order carriers, even order carriers of Yamadharmaraja were also taught that spiritual living being is a spiritual identity. So therefore, that living being who is a spiritual living entity has to follow spiritual occupational duties. That's what even Yamara says. Savai pumsam paro dharmo. That's what it means. And also, if you see, one tyaktva swadharmam charanambujam harer bhajan apakvota patet taduyati. If one forsakes the material occupations which are self-centered and engages into spiritual, transforms them into spiritual occupations. But if one decides to forsake them for uplifting themselves into the selfless zone by taking up devotional service of Lord, he might fall down. Bhajan apakwo, though he is not matured in the bhajana kriya of Lord, bhajan apakwo patet tato edi. Even if he slips, falls down, no problem. This verse says, Yatra kwa bhadram abhudamushikim. On the other side, what is the use or value of such people who abhajatam swadharmataha, who perfectly perform swadharma, occupational duties, but he remains abhajata. That means he doesn't perform any devotion service unto the Supreme Lord. What is the use of such, such engagement, perfect execution of such occupation duties? What is the use? Yatra kwa bhadram abhudamushikim. There is no auspiciousness for such engagements. And whatever one's occupational duty, even according to the Varnashrama system, one must give it up, engage in the spiritual function, real dharma. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches, Jivera Swarupahaya Krishnera Nityadasa. Every living being is an eternal servant of Krishna. So it is a natural occupational duty for every living entity. That's why a real occupational duty is to be acting in the position of servant of Krishna. So 52nd verse talks about Shanda Amarka systematically, unceasingly, they are very persistent. Oh, let's brainwash this boy. He's been brainwashed by those Vaishnavas. Let's brainwash him. Let's protect him from not being approached by these Vaishnavas who might come and secretly teach him the Vaishnava philosophy. So now Shanda Amarka systematically, unceasingly, and if you see, Prahlad Maharaj is very submissive. He is very humble and he's listening and repeating whatever they're teaching. And they're liking it. They're actually falling for his humility. So he learned all the economic development and sense gratification related teachings. And Prabhupada says, Varnashrama system, 4 processes, they all, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, the religiosity, the economic developments, fulfillment of desires, and ultimately they all should culminate in liberation, Prabhupada says. Human society has to follow some religion in order to advance his consciousness from animosity to more human, more sober, being more human. So on the basis of religion, try to develop his economic condition. It's a gradual development so that you can fulfill his needs and some sense gratification according to the religious rules and regulations. When one is above the stages of dharma, artha, kama, moksha, one becomes a devotee, Prabhupada says. He's in the and from the platform from which guaranteed not to fall again to the material existence. Yad gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. In Bhagavad Gita, we hear that. Once we reach to that platform of pure devotional service, there is no fall down. So, but this dharma, artha, kama, moksha platform is such that we could fall down to the rock bottom at any phase. So it's not really safe to be in that platform. So Brahma Bhuta, as advised in Bhagavad Gita, if one transcends these four processes as liberate and is liberated, one engages in devotional service. And Krishna says, Brahma Bhuta prasannatma nasochiti nekankshati samas sarveshu bhuteshu matgatim labhate param. So Devotional service unto me will start when one achieves the Brahmabhuta platform. That is one of the pre-criteria, where one is liberated first from material entanglements, who is above the Dharmartha Kama platform. Those three levels he surpassed. Then one can qualify himself to Madbhakti Labhate Param. If he is very um, having a envious feelings towards Krishna at this platform, this Brahmabhutva platform, then one will not achieve. If one blasphemes, there is no form to the Lord. I am Lord. These kind of things will never achieve one to um, Madgatim Labhate Param is not applicable to such kind of mentalities. So, but if one naturally progresses with respect towards the transcendental position of Supreme Lord Krishna, then one will get the Mad Bhakti Labhate Param. It is a guaranteed not to fall from once we reach this Mad Bhakti Labhate Param. And following the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj, Prabhupada says in the next verse, reject the education of religion, economic development, and sense gratification. Exclusively only these things. One should be interested in spiritual education parallelly, Prabhupada says. That is the essence of the next purport. The entire world is, Prabhupada says, entire world is interested in materialistic way of life. Practically 99.99% of people are interested in liberation or spiritual, or uninterested in liberation or spiritual education. Only the devotees of the Lord, headed by such Mahajans like Prahlad Maharaj, are interested in spiritual education or giving such education, real education to the masses of the public. And without real education, one cannot understand religion at all. It is not about following religion. Without real education, spiritual education, one cannot even understand the principles of religion. They will blindly follow only while staying on the material platform. Therefore, one must follow these great personalities, Prabhupada says. And who are those great personalities? 6th Canto, 3rd chapter, 20th verse. Swayambhur Naradas Shambhu Kumara Kapilo Manu Prahlado Janako Bhishmo Balir Vayyasakir Vayam. Kumara, Kapila, Manu, Prahlada, Janaka, Bhishma Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, Vayyasakir, Vayam, Narada. Vayam means here Yamadharmaraj is saying this. And Vayyasak means Vyasadev, and or even it indicates Vyasadev. Sukadeva Goswami. Vyasakir means son of Vyasadev, so it is Sukadeva Goswami and Yamaraja. So one should be interested in real spiritual education, following the footsteps of these great Mahajans like Prahlad Maharaj, and rejecting sense gratification based education. Therefore, Krishna conscious movement is spreading all over the world, following the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj, who did not like any material education he received from his teachers, which is disconnected from the Supreme Lord. So it doesn't mean that we reject education. It is education necessary for the sustenance in this material world. That is not being rejected, because that is Bhagavatam says in the 3rd chapter, is in 2nd chapter of 1st canto, that one must perform duties so much so that one can maintain his body healthily. That is what Bhagavatam also already explains. So this education we should not forget parallelly learning spiritual education. That is the goal of this purport. And next purport talks about verse number 54. Krutakshanaihi. At the opportunist moment, when it was possible to preach about Krishna consciousness during the break time of school, teachers were absent. So what Prahlad Maharaj did, when he was asked by other kids, let's go play. At that time, he took the opportunistic movement. He wanted to utilize every moment for advancing in Krishna consciousness. He wanted to utilize every moment, Krutakshanaihi, at the to preach about the Krishna consciousness. So 55th verse, Prahlad Maharaj actually smiles hearing their request of let's go play. And other students are very much advanced in enjoying material life, Prabhupada says, economic development, sense gratification. But Prahlad Maharaj laughed at them, knowing that this is not a real happiness to play like that. Material persons are engaged in striving for temporary benefits, whereas persons advanced in spiritual knowledge, not interested in materialistic way of life. Instead, they wanted to be elevated to the eternal life of knowledge and bliss. For the real happiness is the advancement in Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada says. So, therefore, the duty of those who follow the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj is to teach the entire world to be Krishna consciousness. It starts with a householder, a father, or a mother, uh, following in the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj, and also making their children follow the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj from the right at the tender age. That is the instruction given by Prabhupada. So, as Krishna is always compassionate to the fallen soul, similarly, his servants, devotees, are interested in educating the entire population in Krishna consciousness. The last two verses talk about Prahlad's task to his classmates, importance of spiritual life and insignificance of materialistic life. Prabhupada says the words Bala, Aushita, Dhiya indicate the children being of tender age were not polluted by materialistic life as their fathers. So they, because they are very approachable and can be easily molded, Prahlad Maharaj says, that's why it is mentioned here by to the Yudhishthira Maharaj by Narada Muni that Bala Aushish Adaushita Dhiyaha, their intelligence is not polluted, Adaushita Dhiyaha, because they are very little boys. Although the teachers Shandai Amarka brainwashed them with instructing material life of education, economic development, on sense gratification, the boys were not much polluted actually. Therefore, with great attention, they wanted to hear from Prahlad Maharaj about Krishna consciousness because they are not yet so contaminated. They are very much affected by the purity of Prahlad Maharaj. So, similarly, in our Krishna conscious movements, we have gurukuls, we have Sunday schools. They are extremely important, Prabhupada says, because right from childhood, they are instructed about Krishna consciousness. That's why they are so important. Thus, becoming steady within the course of their hearts, there is a very little possibility that they will be conquered by the modes of material nature when they get older. And that teaching will come in the next chapter, in the response of Prahlad Maharaj. Kaumara macharit prajnaha. The intelligent people will engage right from the tender age of Kaumara before 5 years into the Krishna Bhakti. So that is a suggestion. Great teachings will come in the next few sessions. Thank you so much, dear devotees, for attending today's session. And please forgive me for the mistakes that I have committed in explaining. And thank you, dear Sundaranand Prabhu, for giving me opportunity to speak about Bhagavad Gita. Gandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so
Hare
much, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you.